Okay. Yo, what is up, dudes and dudettes? Your friendly neighbor JAXBlade here, and let's talk about Across the Spiderverse. So, like many people out there, I also was a colossal Spider-Man fan ever since childhood. Like, everything Spider-Man related, I just absolutely loved. And Spider-Verse 1 was a movie that I fell in love with. Okay, so just to give you how much I love this film, I saw this movie 27 times in theaters. That is not hyperbole. 27 times in theaters in 2018 to early 2019, I watched this film in there. And the only reason I remember it was 27 exactly was because I saw it 3 less times than my good friend AC Racebest saw Zootopia in theaters. And we have this like joke going on about like how many times I'll see Beyond or Across and all that stuff. But I'm very, very just excited. So like I avoided all trailers for this movie because my thing is this, with trailers these days, like I very much am like, I want to go into the film completely fresh. I don't want to see anything. And so like the first time I got an inkling of it was just like, okay, Gwen and Miles getting together, that's all I need. That's all I need, nothing else. I don't need to see any other trailer. I want to go into this completely fresh. And my God, it was worth the experience. Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse is just, it's more than just it feels like art. Like there is just so much, it literally is art. Like every time, I know so many people have said it, but like when you freeze frame a scene of this movie, it literally is just like, I could have that as a painting. I could have that as a poster. Like if honestly, if I was at like Sony Studios and they were like, oh, you want any of like some Spider-Verse stuff? I would grab like 20 different types of posters and my room would just be coated in them because this film is just so immaculately aesthetic in so many ways. It's just so beautiful like to look at. Like there's so many freeze frames, the animation, the character designs of what they're doing and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's so beautiful to see how Spider-Verse has influenced so many different things that have followed it, you know, like the freaking great Arcane series or, you know, Puss in Boots recently, but like there's so much stuff that it's been influencing, and of course Ninja Turtles too. Oh my God, like it's been such a cultural impact that it's beautiful. So through this entire film, I was just glued to the screen, just like completely enamored by everything. I was just like, this is just, oh my God, like these people are so talented. And honestly, I love that Miles is becoming such a worldwide phenomenon, because I remember when he was first introduced in the comics. Heck, I remember when Donald Glover first made that joke, which caused the creation of Miles Morales like way back in the day, and like been following his comics for a while. But now that they've done him in the movies and this awesome video game right here, it is just fantastic to see him getting so much love. And I love how the movies have done his character, like giving him his own like, you know, little arc to follow and stuff like that. And it's just so endearing, especially from the first movie. But another thing I really love is his dynamic with like, you know, Gwen Stacy and the other spider people, because like in this film, I also want to just say this, I'm gushing so hard, but like I really respect and love how they did the relationship between Miles and Gwen in the movies, because when it first starts off, it's just like, okay, yeah, I think this girl's cute, all right, I think she's cute, instantly gets put down, and then it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna be, you know, very cordial, respect her boundaries and stuff like that, and then you see like a friendship start to develop between the two, and it's like, okay, yeah, their relationship, it's growing and it feels very organic, and it's like, okay, they got great chemistry with each other, they're making each other laugh, they got all this stuff going on for it, and then you gradually see them just start to care more and more for each other, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like it's just like, we have to throw this in there. It's like, no, you see it steadily build, and then you understand from their perspectives why they would like, you know, fall for each other. So I really think that is incredibly well done, and I love like the whole thing with like Gwen Stacy's backstory and like her whole dimension and how it is, and then like her thing with her Peter, her thing with her father and stuff like that. And then the beginning with the vulture. And I guess I'll say this right now, like I will talk in depth about spoilers because I'm just gushing, so I'm just gonna be talking about all that stuff passionately. Like the way they designed Vulture in this film, he looked like one of those like very old pictures from back in the day. I thought that was just like incredible. Like I thought that was just absolutely cool. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is spectacular. This is ultimate. Every Spider-Man euphemism you could think of, I'm just like, all right, this is starting off well. I also really love Miles' parents in this movie and stuff like that, and how they want their son to be. And he's like, I don't know if I can tell him that I'm Spider-Man. I got all this stuff going on. So that is like a very interesting thing, but I thought they handled it pretty well. But another thing I want to say they handled really, really well was the villain of this film, the Spot. The Spot is one of those villains, like for people who watch the 90s cartoons as like kids, like growing up, like when he showed up, it was just like, okay, I mean, it's kind of a cool power, but you look lame. You look lame. And it's just the fact that they took him off, like they started him off with that very thing of like, oh yeah, he's a lame villain. And his design is just like, it's sort of creepy, but it's just like, oh, you're so lame the way you're acting. And then they built him up and show him, and then you hear his theme evolve. Like his theme, like everyone talks about the Prowler's theme, the Spot's theme later on, that shit comes eerie. Like it gives you like chills down your spine. It's just like, oh my god. And I think another thing that helps it is like it's very close to the comic book design, where the Spot is like, you know, no face, no mouth, and stuff like that for certain issues. And I think that is just, that goes along with the thing I've always said before, like no mouth masks work better, and then the fact that he also doesn't have eyes too, it makes him look very alien and stuff like that. So when he's talking casually like, oh yeah, you know, like come on, I'm your arch nemesis, and then Miles is like, whatever, but then later on he's just like spazzing out and having those like little black hole moments, and it's just like, oh, okay, this guy is actual threat. He is very scary. He is eerie. Like, I thought that was just immaculately done, how they were able to take a character who was just so freaking, like, goofy and then make him just into this deep, like, multiversal threat. I thought that was just absolutely insane. Like, he became a complete menace in the highest regard of the term. But now let's talk about the people who are worried about Spot. You know, like Miguel, like Spider-Man 2099. Like, I freaking love his design in this film. It is so badass. Like, and my boy Miguel got his weight up. I don't know if he's been doing like extra wall crawl or something like that, or like, you know, 60 Spider-Man whooped his ass. It was like, I can't let that happen again. Because the end of 2018, he looked like his OG comic self, and then they were like, oh no, we were gonna make him into like this big intimidating figure. He was like, and it's like, that is so cool. Dude has been working on his traps, all right? Like, it is insane. Like, I was like, bruh, like you, compared to all the other Spider people, you look really, really jacked. Like, what's going on here? Do you actually work out? Because I actually did a short on this the other day, how most Spider people don't actually work out. They get it as a byproduct of their training, because people used to think that, oh, it's just a spider bite that makes you that big. So go watch that, and also go watch this video here where I talk about how many calories Spider-Man would actually burn an average day just doing his superhero work. But I loved his design. I loved the way he acted, and then like the way he was just talking about like, okay, this is what's going on, this is what is happening, and then this is what we need to stop. We need to stop this right now and prevent this from happening. And then, like, you know, the fact that we have all these other Spider people there, like some very familiar ones, and there's so many Easter eggs, so many Easter eggs. That's why I'm excited to like rewatch this multiple times. Also, I really love the Indian Spider-Man in this movie too. First off, his design, so much better than the comics in my opinion. Like, I think Spider-Verse, the movies, do so much stuff with like certain character designs where they make them way better than their actual counterparts in like the comic books, like just aesthetically. And then like his personality too, I love that he's just so happy-go-lucky, and then he's just like so peppy about everything. And I love the fact that he kept shipping Miles and Gwen together, where he's just like, oh, is there like some love triangle thing going on here? What about HOBIE? Oh my god, these two love each other. Wow, you must really care for her if you're doing this. Oh wow, this stuff. Like, I thought that was just like great, because like, yeah, most of us in the audience are feeling the same way. And then HOBIE, let's talk about HOBIE. Daniel Kaluuya as Spider-Punk was freaking phenomenal. Again, in my opinion, much better than the comic books and stuff like that. Like, his whole thing, like his whole personality, the way he looks like he's from like an old magazine and stuff like that, I love that. I thought that was freaking great. Him when he dapped up Mayday Parker, like Peter B. Parker. Like, first off, our boy Peter B. Parker, our man got busy the second he got back to that universe. Like, I respect, absolutely respect. I completely get why, because that was good. And then like Mayday's adorable. I love like his dynamic with her, like showing her off and like just being a good dad. Like, I thought that was great too. But yeah, like, and then Penny's like new Eva design based more on the comic book look, I thought that was really cool too. And then at the very end of the movie where they bring back all of like the Spider people, because they're gonna go save them, like the OGs and then some new ones just to help, I thought that was great. So, oh my god, this movie, if I just talk about this movie, I could go on for like an hour, but it'd just be word vomit after a while. And then of course, you know, I love the fact that they show the Prowler, like MCU the Prowler. You remember when he like briefly showed up as Spider-Man Homecoming because Donald Glover was there, and then he's like, oh no, he actually became the Prowler later on. That did get a giggle out of me. And then the big one that got me to scream and people looked at me like I was confused was they had the boy. They had my boy, Spectacular Spider-Man himself. They had him in there and I just was like, yeah, let's go! And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I unintentionally did it and I was just like, I'm so sorry, but like, I got hyped. And the fact that it wasn't just like a walk-by cameo, like he actually spoke and it was Josh Keaton himself, that got me so hyped. Because like, you know, whenever I read something Spider-Man related, my voice in the head for Spider-Man always alternates between these three. Christopher Daniel Barnes, the 90s Spider-Man, Josh Keaton, Spectacular, and then of course Yuri Lowenthal now, because he did such a great job in the PS4 game, so I like that stuff, and then PS5 game too, and Spider-Man 2 is just like, oh god, I'm hyped for that. I'm hyped for that too. But like, the fact he actually spoke and was like, Miles, we can't control it, and then you see like what happened to Captain Stacy too, it's like, oh god, is like that what was gonna happen in season 3? Like, I don't know if they like talked to Greg Weisman beforehand, because on Twitter he was saying like, oh, I have no idea about this, but like, that is so interesting to me. Now, I will say this, like, going against like what happened in the entire thing of like, okay, every Spider-Man has to deal with some form of trauma for them to, you know, make a event, not let a canon event happen where a tragedy happens. And freaking Spectacular was like, Miles, you gotta let this happen, dude. I was against that at first, where I was just like, wait, what the heck? Like, come on, Spectacular, shouldn't you like have his back? Like, I'll hold him off, go. But like, Josh Keaton did a Q&A recently where he talked about it, and he was like, oh yeah, he pretty much said this.
It's hard for me to not believe that a young, impressionable Spider-Man, who every time he has somebody that he really looks up to and cares about, being just taken from him that way, is not going to now look up to this other person who seems to have all the answers and believe that, you know, maybe this is possible, and maybe this is part of the sacrifice that I have to make as Spider-Man, that I can't save everybody. I can try, but I can't save everybody. And you know, like, and again, who's to say that that decision holds? You know, this is just him as a snapshot of where he's at in time. And so it might get to the point where he's like, I don't know.
And so I can buy that, but then also like Josh Keaton in, I think it was, which Spider-Man game was it? Like, he had this whole back and forth with Miguel talking about,
oh no, what's wrong? It's Mary Jane. She dies tonight. Right there at Alchemax.
How do you know? For shock's sake, Parker, what part of Don't Poke Around in the Archives was unclear?
Fine, I'm a nosy Parker, but now that I've found out, it's
what? My job to save her? I've got enough to deal with.
You can't mean that. You can't just ignore that she's in danger.
Hey, I'm trying to focus on what's important.
What's important is not standing by and allowing someone to suffer or die because you do nothing. If you don't get that, then you don't get the first thing about being Spider-Man.
So part of me, when all the Spider people were just like chasing Miles, I sort of wanted like, you know, either 90s Spider-Man or like other Spider-Man who like we know, just to be like, okay, hold up, let's hold him off, you get out of here, let's go take care of this. Because I just thought that would have been cool. But like, again, the entire scene of all of them chasing Miles is just like, I was losing my shit. I was like, this is hype. This is freaking godly. I remember I was shaking when I left the theater. Like, my hands were just like, I'm so full of adrenaline and hype. Like, I'm just on cloud 9 hype high status. And that's actually why I wanted to hold off on doing sort of a quick review like this, because I know what hype brain does to people, where it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna say, oh, this is the best thing in existence. This is the best thing here. And like, it gave you that feeling. And I think that is absolutely immaculate. And I was just like, yeah, this movie is just like so great in so many areas. But also I want to say, did anyone else, when at the very end you see Miles meet Miles, think of Huey and Riley? Because that was the first thing that came into my head. He was just like, you took your braids out, and then you see like freaking like Miles with braids, the Prowler Miles, and then like Miles regularly are like, okay, what's going on here? Though I do wonder, because you know something about these Spider-Verse movies is they do this thing where like they'll have like Spider-Man tied up, and I'm like, I know you can get out of that easily because like you're freaking Spider-Man, you can like bench press a building, right? And so like there are parts of me like, okay, is he just waiting to get like his like say something, like figure out what's going on before he escapes? Because I'm like, you shouldn't be getting knocked out like that easily, or like being pushed like that. Like, come on, bro, like your spider sense and all that. Also, let me talk about Ben Reilly real quick. Ben Reilly, they gave him the Spider Noir treatment, and I need to see how I actually feel on it, because like I did like how they did Ben Reilly in the 90s cartoon when he showed up and they had the whole thing with the multiverse and he talks in there. But like, admittedly, in those comics he was a bit goofy, but in this movie they were like, let's Flanderize him and make him like just super edgy, goofy and stuff like that. And so I'll see on the second viewing how I feel about it, but again, it was one of those like, okay, it makes me laugh, and I'm like, okay, they could have done this with him in this area. And also when I sit and think about it, I still think the first one is a better overall story, like just like as a movie by itself. I think the first one is better, but this is like, I don't think it's really fair at this moment because like, it's like this is half of a story. Like this is 2 parts, so it's like half, so 1 half, 2 halves. So I will definitely see how my opinion changes once Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, which I'm so hyped for. But like, yeah, so far I would still say I like the first one a bit more. Second one I think is phenomenal in a lot of areas. The soundtrack for the second one is pretty damn good. The first one, I think the soundtrack was just absolutely perfect. So there's just little things like that, but there's nothing like egregious where it makes it go, oh yeah, this is so much better than this. It's like, no, it's like this to me. And the thing about this is I've been working on my Mega Spider-Man video. For people who don't know, I've been working on Mega Spider-Man video same way I worked on my Mega TMNT video. But like the reason it's been taking so long is because I keep adjusting so many things. I'm like, oh, let me talk about this. Oh wait, should I add this? And then I get news that like, oh, Spider-Verse is coming out here, and then Spider-Man 2, the PS4 game, or PS5 game, excuse me, is coming out, and I'm like, do I want to see what those go, like, because I could also add them to my video. And then like when I saw this movie, I was like, do I want to just wait till Beyond comes out, or like do it right then and there, just so I could say like a bunch of stuff I want to say? But like, it's so conflicting because I'm like, oh my god, there's so much I want to just add and say, but then there's a part of me that's like, I've been working on this for a while now. So the good news is it'll be really cool, and I can't wait for the premiere when that is done. But for you watching this right now, what did you think of Across the Spider-Verse? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Like, you know, let's get a discussion going down in the comment section. I love doing that with all my supporters and stuff like that who watch the stuff. And then also, if you made this far in the video, type Gwen X Miles forever. Just like it lets me see like who actually watched the video all the way through, just so I can like be like, okay, cool, people are like actually watching my stuff all the way through. And again, I'm working on a bunch of stuff, got a ton of stuff like in the vaults and stuff like that. Definitely been doing more grinding on the Mega Spider-Man video, but like, yeah, I'm not going to give a date. I just will, when it's done, and I hope you all enjoy it. But as always, I'm your friendly neighbor JAXBlade. Remember, like I always say, keep calm, booyah on, and don't forget, Momentai. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'm gonna go watch Across the Spider-Verse again later on. I'm gonna go see how many people I can get to go with me. Alright, peace.